Been 2 weeks though. You enjoying the new act at all?
Yeah. We've it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I like start of act. There's just so many things that I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a few changes. Like I saw it in one of your. I used the analogy of Tiger Woods. I saw
Yeah,
you guys mention it in the
with the
in the
golf swings
podcast that
thing.
you did.
Yeah, and then you got the
Yeah,
mouse pad.
I literally did all of them at the same time at the start of the act. So I was like, just rip the band-aid off, and that's why I was like, I can't really focus on learning too much at the moment because I'm already trying to adapt to so much. But now I'm
Right.
feeling way better, and it's only going to go up from here. Like super comfortable in a higher sense now. I can get my crosshair placement and
Yeah, I thought the sense
overall just
change was a good
everything better.
idea. So I personally didn't have much enjoyment out of playing on low sense. But looks like we're playing ranked with a
Yeah.
mix of Clove and Cipher. Is this just for the Premier reps or?
To be honest, I'm now like Clove taught me literally. Oh yeah, by the way, these games are horrible. Like are horrible. But Clove gave me everything I need to know in terms of my actual duels. Like it was just constant dueling, and I got my peaking tech way better. My peaking micro, basically the decisions, like am I far away isolating, am I close swinging, that stuff. I
Right.
got it really good. So then I've taken everything that I've learned from those duels as Clove, and now I'm applying it to Cipher so that I can once again really master that Cipher lurking slash dry duel play style that I originally envisioned, but I just didn't really have the mechanics for at the time. So now I've got those mechanics. I'm bringing it back, and I'm having like a lot of fun. Just yeah,
Mm.
basically wrecking havoc, lurking on Cipher.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's interesting about that, I guess, is number one, I feel like you can do those things on Clove. Like lurking on Clove is very normal. But the thing that I would consider with the role swap is like if I were in your shoes, I would wait to do that until I hit a Mortal 3 at Radiant. Like until I've really fully capped out this role and then moved into another one, if that makes sense. Cause like the way I think about Clove is like you're playing training wheels, but the training wheels doesn't really come off until you're where the game actually starts to matter with roles. And I like you could argue that starts in Ascendant, you could argue that starts in a Moto 1. But like it's levels to this, right? And like a Moto 3 and Radiant is probably the highest level where this starts to really, really matter. Um but I mean I'm always
The
biased for simplicity and I feel like Clove is nice.
yeah, I do agree with that 100%. The reason for the decision as well is because I could have played Clove with the Premier team, and I'm like that was a possibility. However, we've got like Lenny, who's a one trick, not one trick, like a crazy Omen player, and his Omen's very good, and he's just that's his comfort pick. So I was like, you know what? I'm not horrible on what you might call it, Cipher, and I've got lots that I can bring to the table on you know on that
Yeah.
Senti role. So I
You do
was
have
like, you know
comfort on
what?
it, so it makes sense, yeah.
I can pivot. I can pivot and just keep taking like a lot of the concepts transfer across in terms of contacting space, fighting for space, that sort of stuff. And yeah,
My
basically it was like
m-
I don't
m-
want to practice comp with something I'm not going to practice in prem, and if I
yeah.
can align it, I'd like to align it. That's basically what I was getting at.
My counter argument to that, which you don't have to take, is it sounds like you're putting the premier team potentially first, um, which is fine. It really depends on your goals at the end of the day. But what I kind of think in terms of the competitive sphere is like premier, like anything in terms of competing doesn't really start until you're already like a high Moto 3 to Radiant player. And like ideally you're already Radiant. My opinion has shifted over the course of the couple of years. Like I used to just tell people if you want to like compete as early as you can while also playing the solo queue stuff so you can kind of develop those habits. Um it's kind of changed in the lens that I think you do have to get to like a base level of skill before you start going into teamwork, like team play, um, because you can kind of utilize your teammates as band-aid solutions, or you expect your teammates to play in a certain way, and because of that, you don't develop the skills to overcompensate for their lack of play. And oftentimes in team play, at the highest level, if you have that like overcompensation mechanism, it'll allow you to be a lot more adaptable. Because if you face it, Valorant is a very random game sometimes, and having that like adaptability is very, very important. So I would be, if I was your coach and your goal was to go pro, and I'm working with you on every step of the way to get there, I would tell you to be extremely selfish on what your ranked journey looks like. And any premier play or whatever you do for fun is always a second priority to that. So, like, again, going to my thoughts, if I were to give a prescription, it would be number one, you lock Clove until you're at least Immortal 3, then you don't consider any role swaps until then. Once you are there and you just either find something more enjoyable, then you can start sprinkling some other stuff and experimenting. But the reason being on that is I have a very strong belief that one tricking is very valuable in growth. Now, you could argue you could do something called, I'm stealing this from the BBC podcast, like they call it champion cycling. So like if you play mid lane and you normally play, say, Malzahar, you could champ pool cycle and play Brand like for 60 games, and then you play another mid laner for 60 games, and so on and so forth. So you gain other perspectives. I don't think it's that drastic in this game. I don't even think role cycling is that good in this game, but it can give you some experience into the other roles. Like let's say you, I don't know, take that same prescription and play one role for 50 games, one role for 50 games, so on and so forth, and you eventually go back to your main role. That might give you some insight, and that probably is useful. But I probably wouldn't consider doing something like that until you've plateaued. And from what I could tell from last act, to go back to your thing, you were doing really well. I mean, your Clove stats, 55.8% win rate. Like you could literally just continue playing games on Clove and just climb. Like, I mean, you could argue your last 20 games on Clove was 10-10, but we were in and out of Immortal 2, Immortal 1, and I feel like that's better than where we were before. So,
oh yeah, big time, big time. We definitely saw a whole new peak and a whole new level of play. So I do agree with that.
But again, that's just my perspective. Ultimately, you kind of have to do what you enjoy. But I always advised cautious approaches to role swaps. Not that it's super important in Valorant, but different roles are different for a reason, you know.
100%. I've kept it as, I guess, similar with, I guess, the approaches I take to a game. I'm keeping it as similar as I did to Clove as possible, but then just adapting it and making it obviously as proper form for Cipher as possible. And then, I mean, yeah, when it comes to the reasons why I swapped to Cipher in the first place before Clove, it felt like my role 100%. But then when it came to climbing ranked, I just lacked the fundamentals, like literally just fundamentals of killing people and all that, you know, my picking micro, that sort of stuff. I couldn't really focus on that while I was focusing on actually how to play Cipher and the setup. So then we swapped to Clove.
And you kind of had like a quick success, yeah.
Yeah, because I was able to full focus mechanics basically and fundamentals and how it all works.
So in a way, you kind of use Clove as that training wheels, but at the same time, you wanted to play Cipher like ultimately at the end, and this is you revisiting that, I guess.
Revisiting that, and I'm revisiting that because it perfectly aligned with the Premier team, and I was like, you know what, I wanted to play this playstyle anyways, and I love this playstyle. You know, might as well just like, yeah, align everything as best as possible.
Send it. Alrighty, so topic of discussion today is Fracture. So what are we doing on Fracture today? Like, I know we've spoken DMs, like you were considering playing Cipher, considering playing Killjoy, considering playing Chamber. Like, where's your like head at with that?
I'm not gonna lie, like I sent you a message an hour ago. You said, why haven't you considered Chamber? And then I was like, I don't know. And then someone sent me a chamber, an Alpha Year game that was just played where he plays chamber, and I was watching how he played it, and I fell in
In the
love straight
ranked
away. I
or
was like,
the
I want to do this. No, it was the last game he played versus BBL.
Oh yeah.
I
Wow.
can so, so basically every single defense round,
Yeah.
he was just contesting one of the mains, and he's just got a TP set up for them. I'll send you a screenshot real quick. I don't know if it's easy for you to bring up,
Yeah.
but
Easy
this is
peasy.
my my breakdown of the rounds and all the different angles that he was playing. And I mean, dude, like, wait, once I send this to you, I'll be able to explain. If you look at the A main side of this Valo plant,
Yeah.
no verticality, random off angles. This is like my dream. This is legit my dream. This is what Alfio was doing in a pro match. Just literally every round of defense, pushing up, just angle holding, taking dry contact duels and TPing out. Like, this is where I would absolutely thrive, like insane.
And to be
And
fair, you've
just
also
trying
played
to
a bit
harness
of
that.
you played chamber before, right? So it's like the easy
Yeah,
fallback.
I'd be able to easily get the chamber going. I played the last time I played chambers 2 years ago when Fracture was out,
Right.
and oh no, actually no, it wasn't the last time I played it when I returned, but that was the agent I hit Immortal 3 with ages ago when I grinded.
Yeah.
So I've got it,
Okay, so
got
we're
it in
leaning
me.
towards chamber, it sounds like.
I'm 100% like sold on chamber Fracture.
Okay. Let's start with defense and let's approach the map. Oh well, actually I guess the question would be, do you want to approach the map in terms of learning how to play chamber and fracture specifically, or learning how to play fracture with like a note of chamber?
Uh, I think it would be really good to just get a fundamental understanding down of the map and then add in the layer on top that I am playing chamber and how that would fit into those roles or
Okay.
bend the rules.
Gotcha. Okay, so we'll probably use Valorplant for this. This is probably more useful for chat as well. So let's kind of learn how to play Fracture. I did this on a more extensive version on the podcast. I think that'll probably release in a couple of weeks. But for the sake of Zasko and you guys, just to get something out a little bit earlier, we'll kind of go through the map here. So defense, first thing you need to know is defenders start in a pinch. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, the attackers literally can start off barrier and squeeze the site. You know, you get dish pretty free, you get arcade pretty free, so on the site you're kind of stuck. So you can't just play a fracture by sitting on site and hoping for the best. Like, that's just not how this works. Because if you sit on the site and hope for the best, you're gonna get split from 2 angles, potentially 3, which is very bad. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means as a defender, ideally you either control one of the spaces or you get info on one of the spaces. Normally you do a little bit of both, but let's kind of go down this a little bit. So the meta on Fracture defense, similar to Lotus, is to control A main. You'll have your breach stun from A main tower pretty much every single round. For my breach players out there, I'm going to give you a little bit of sneak peek of what this looks like. It's very, very easy. You do it from tower. You charge up your little stun in the air. You stun while you're in the air, and then you open the door. You have flash out, and you're ready to fight. Your teammate A main gets contact after your stun's there, and then you fight off of it. And your brim smoke is going to be deeper, and you're just ready to fight off of it. Easy peasy, right? That's your A main control. You have the stun, followed by smoke, followed by player has line, and then breach and line player fight continuously. This is pretty much the standard that you'll do for most rounds. Eventually, you'll get to the point to where the attackers can't contest A main at all. So then you can start to just stun A main and smoke it and not have a player here at all. Or you can just smoke it and not use your stun because they will play further back to dodge the stun. So that's how you start your defense. Pretty much if you do that, you're 80% of the way there. The other thing you can do, depending on your second initiator, is you can start gathering info on some lines. So typically you gather info on this line here because attackers spawn on this line on the top. So if you get info that they're not on this line here, you can kind of assume it's an A rush or a B rush. And then if your A main control sees nothing and you get no info on bottom side of the map, immediately you can already process of eliminate it's going to be towards B. Okay, So what does this normally look like? Well, if you have seen Fade on this map, they just jump through a haunt here. If you've seen KO, sometimes they'll throw a dagger here, or they'll have some type of dagger towards arcade. Sometimes their dagger is towards A main still, but you just get info, basically. Like, the point is to control A main while you gain info elsewhere, and then you process of eliminate. So you kind of understand the map, okay? So that's one approach to the map. This is probably your most standard. That means you have 2 to 3 players, mostly 3A. So let's just send this here. You have Jet here. You have Fade here. I haven't seen the updated comp in Fracture, to be fair. I know it's like Tejo, so just bear with me. This is just here for explaining the map. You have your Breach here. You have your Brim somewhere towards here. You can still smoke here. You have the stun. And then you also have your Sentinel and B. Traditionally, it's your Killjoy. Okay, so your Killjoy has turret here. For arcade, come up on the line, and then your Killjoy is playing tower. And then he has mollies, and he's defending tower. This is what the map used to look like. You play B Senti, and then you would play B towards A. Okay, that's like setup 1. Setup 2 is you aggress B, and then you do the opposite. So your Killjoy's flipped over here. Maybe he's playing a little bit more passive. I don't know, but just pretend like you probably have alarm bot here, and then like turret somewhere. I don't fucking know. Let's just pretend like this is your Killjoy setup on A. I actually don't remember. But then you would aggro, let's say B main for this example. So you have your Breach stun here. Your Jet gets the line. Your Breach switches to smoke here, or your Brim. And now we're contesting A space. Maybe your Fade will be there as well, and your Brim's on the site with your Killjoy. No. So this could be your setup. Let's get rid of these mollies. This is setup 2. Now this is a little bit more aggressive because you're full taking B main and just instead of just holding A main. Like, you might be taking your aggressive space. You might actually get your Jet pushed up on this line. Doing this play here can be good to counter the Killjoy ult play that attackers will do on underpass, because you get A main control and then you can take underpass from B main side, wherever underpass is, somewhere here. So this is something that used to be done. The other variation of this is aggressing arcade. You use some util. I probably use like a Flash with the Fade Haunt, and then someone would rush. Normally your Raze satchel's in, actually. Raze is probably a better example than the Jet, but your Raze goes in. Okay, so normally this is what happens, right? This is your standard setup.
The idea is that you're always fighting, you're always contesting some space,
right?
And you're always pushing up.
You don't play the game passively on defense on this map. You're looking to at least gather info. At the very least, you're trying to gather info. Now, it is possible that you don't actually take any neutral space at all, and you just play fast rotate, and you just go to the site that they hit, and you all run through the smokes, right? Like, that is something that can happen on Fracture. But if they play a slow round and you haven't gathered space or contested neutral space, gathered info or contested neutral space, you're just going to insta lose. So this is in a team play aspect as well. Okay, so how does that really fit in with Chamber? Well, Chamber can just take these lines. So you take the A main line with your Breach stun. That allows your duelist to now actually play B, which is kind of nice, because like Killjoy wouldn't be able to contest the A line, right? But now Chamber you could play like a 2-man A setup that mimics a 3-man A setup by playing Chamber here, because you have him contesting A main, you have a trip drop for info, and then your Breach just supports this guy while you have 3 towards B. And it's still the same thing. Whereas before you would need 3A because you wouldn't have a drop player. But now you can have 3A or 2A and have a trip drop while you gather info here and just set 3B. So that's kind of the beauty of Chamber compared to a Killjoy. His 2B site setup can be paired with Breach, whereas before it couldn't. I don't know who your third, let's just say Fade. So this is kind of nice. You could also play your Chamber passive. He plays on like top site for like a cheeky kill and then TPs away. I don't know if you can do that anymore. It used to be like a TP on top site and then spawn, but I guess you can't really do that anymore. So you might just play for drop. So you might have like a TP drop. You might have like a teammate play for info drop, and then you're not playing A main at all. You're just playing passive top site, get a kill, and then fall back. There's a lot of variation you can do, but to kind of fit the Chamber into the picture, you're going to be one of those players that is contesting neutral space, but you won't actually be doing that guy, like that player that rotates spawn side too often. You're going to be contesting neutral space and then probably pushing up, unless you have like a rotate TP. But how can we make this playstyle a little bit more curated for ranked? You probably want to be utilizing your TPs in a way that you can contest space early, but not be uber committed. Like if you're contesting A main, but your TP is here and you're kind of stuck here and they go B, you do probably want to peace out. Like you don't want to be on the A line for too long. So playing a good Chamber in ranked, I think will come down to having really, really good reads. So you have a strong pre-round position, or you try to play fast rotate in some form of fashion. I don't even know how would you do that on this map, because like you can't really peek anything early and play fast rotate, can you?
Is it just a fast flank? It's just play like
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. That's just
but
the only way you can really quickly have impact by fighting a line.
unless like you could also just have your trip and then just play chamber as like a I'm fast rotating, I'm throwing my TP in the smoke as I run out type of thing, and then using like getting the kill and flood like TP back into cover. I could see that.
In
Like
this case, would that be, let's say I don't have a read at all.
yeah,
Do you reckon it would be the actual opposite of what we normally do, where it's 20% extremities, 80% faster rotate? I think in this case, it seems like as long as I've got a read, it makes sense to contest space. And then those 20% of the rounds where there's just really no idea, and we just like, we expect a flood, a rush, or something like that, then I play a fast rotate. And then
that's definitely how it feels with chamber. I mean, it's traditional to what you used to see the old chamber meta, because at least with the old chamber meta, he had 2 TPs, so you had the power of playing fast rotate and extra. Like, I mean, take a look at this setup. Like, this is the old chamber here.
I miss it, bro. I miss it.
You could contest neutral space and play fast rotate if they hit C, because you have your TPs here. So maybe this is why he was one of the reasons why he was so broken.
Bro, you could TP from A site to B site on bind.
Yeah.
You literally could just go from site to site.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I got Immortal 3. That's how I got Immortal 3.
It does shortcut a lot of those rotate question marks. So I would say experimental for now. I mean, we'll have to probably look at some chamber ranked VODs at some point to really figure this out. But hopefully that kind of makes sense in the grand scheme of how chamber fits into defense. You're contesting neutral space. If you want to play fast rotate, I think you probably throw your tripwire somewhere, sit and spawn, and then when you fast rotate, you throw your TP in the like in cover somewhere as you run out, get your kill. Like treat it as a jet dash almost when you're flooding. That probably works pretty well. And then for attack, this is really straightforward. You just have to split sites. So don't get into the trap of just 5-man B main, 5-man A main, 5-man arcade, 5-man. That's just not going to work. Just go 4 B main and 1 arcade. Normally I actually do the opposite. 4 arcade, 1 B main, 4 A main, 1 drop. And if you follow that, you will in theory be really good. Like if you just follow this formula here, 4 A main, 1 drop, like you just have this 4-1 here. As a loose setup, you'll be good.
Oftentimes the one.
As chamber, you will oftentimes be the one. It's kind of tough.
I'm comfortable doing that. That's like my strength there.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough on chamber on this map though, because your flank won't normally be protected that well. Like it's like your trip is kind of like shit on this map. It's not super good, because like as you could tell here, if you put your trip on A, but you're lurking up B, it's gonna go down. So that sucks. So then
I saw Alfia do when he walked up he walked up solo arcade, chucked a trip immediately on that angled wall, and then just the one below, and then he just walked up, put his TP down.
Gotcha.
The part that I like a lot is that he puts his TP right where Chamber's standing there, and then he fights for arcade, holds tower, and then literally stays there for the entire post plant and just fights the flood.
Yeah, right, from this angle here. Yeah, arcade is very strong post plant position because of this line here, so it makes sense. I would say it's a little bit scary to do specifically this in ranked, because I would like for us to be a little bit more aggressive, like maybe having your TP here would allow you to actually take some space onto site, or even if you have it in tower, it allows you to play on the bottom and then go back up. Like imagine like you're here, you get the kill, you TP back in the tower, now you're fighting this side. That could be uber sick. But point being is normally you're going to be the one, right? We just have to figure out how you're going to be the one. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But let's actually get into some proper examples here. So real game stuff. One of the main things that you're going to be doing on this map is playing B, because honestly, it's just your Sentinel just ends up B a lot of the time. And Chamber having a TP makes him really good on B. So this angle up here is very popular against ults. Right? If they have Breach ult, Brim ult, KJ ult, you will likely be playing B from this box, because you have to play retake because the util hits everything. Right? So get up here. I mean, you could probably put your TV somewhere else after you get up here. I don't know, just pretend. And then like you're just looking to get over like kills over the smoke. So in this case, if your trip is B main, you're looking this side to kill the arcade walk up. If your trip is arcade side, then you'll look B main side. But you're literally just sitting here for kills. get one, get out. This is oftentimes what I would like to do if I'm playing against ultimates. If I'm not playing against ultimates and I'm playing chamber, which I used to play chamber on this map actually, I would fight arcade a shitload. I mean, you used to have better TPs now, but I think this is the one you showed me. I would fight arcade like a motherfucker. I would just start the round here, and I would just run up on this line, and I would just fight him. Sometimes I would have breach flash, sometimes I would have the haunt, sometimes I would just shift walk up and then take the fight. But I really like to take this fight here, because if they aren't here, then it likely means that they're A or they're B main, which in ranked, a lot of times they just go heavy B main and kind of leave arcade as an afterthought. So you can kind of shift all the way into under, and with this TP, it's probably a little bit broken now, but you can shift all the way into under, then fight B main, and if you see nothing here, then you just make the call that it's A, and in this case, you might even just consider TPing back up and rotating. But
that's crazy, yeah.
I really like to do that. Something you can ask for with your smoke is actually just get the brim ult or brim smoke here, and then that'll let you kind of do this a little bit more higher success rate. Like you don't have to take the deep fights, right? Another way to play arcade, which is very, very valuable and actually works with this TP, it looks like, you drop behind this box. So I don't know if this is a round start type of thing. You start from tower, you start from lower, but basically if you can get into this box and you can play arcade from this box, oftentimes it doesn't get cleared, and you can kind of just get a free kill here, and it looks like you can TP out. So chamber is really looking spicy on this map for that. That's a really nice
if you
play.
do the TP a tiny bit deeper.
Yeah, it might even be better. Yeah,
way. I think it looks like it could go
quite a bit.
that
Yeah,
changes it a bit.
that's
a lot more
nice.
space.
So you can hold this off angle. Like, I mean, there's a famous Demon 1 clip here when he was playing Brimstone. Like, a lot of people think that you play this spot, it's a one and done, which is true. But it's not really a spot that gets, like, hard checked, you know? Like, and especially if you're playing Chamber TP, you're fucking out. So this spot's probably broken as fuck for Chamber. Definitely abuse arcade. What's that?
Are you playing for the peak or the angle hold?
A little bit of both. Like, you angle hold until you hear noise, and then you're going to peek off of timing, probably.
Yeah, okay.
I want to see barriers real quick, because I actually used to see an arcade trip, but I guess you don't really have that. I feel like the arcade trip I used to see was like round start. It would kind of just be like by the box here, but maybe you would just put your arcade trip like this off barrier. Then you'd play site like an op. Like some people used to play the op line here. I don't know. This kind of sucks because you can't peek B main and have your arcade trip, which kind of sucks. But let's pretend like you wanted to peek B main this round. I guess you would just have like a trip here off barrier. Like, I mean, it's going to be kind of shitty, but pretend like it's here. Let's just talk about the B main peek itself. So I want to get into the micro here. A lot of people peek B main like idiots. I'll just show you what it looks like. They try to go in this deep. Let's just swing wide like fucking idiots. So the way you need to know when you swing B main is that they are also swinging, which means that your first angle is going to be here, roughly. Maybe slightly out. I don't know why my right click is bugging, but slightly out like here. You're not wide swing. Jesus Christ. My fucking, I think it's the custom or something. But you're not going to wide swing into the fucking deep angle here. It doesn't, even if you have the breach done. My right click is zooming. Holy shit. Let's just deal with the rifle. When you swing B main, even if you have a breach done, they can swing past it and get onto this angle. So swing your first angle here, and then take it bit by bit, and then you get to the common angle. That's how you want to swing B main. Don't be that idiot that just swings B main like you have breach util and you think you're God or something. You're gonna die. The only time you do that is if you have a flash instead. If you have a flash, then you get close to the wall, flash, and then you go wide, and then you have a chance. Or if you have a KO pop flash, you wait for the flash and then you go. Then you can go wide. But if you don't have a flash and you have a stun, you don't go wide. Okay, so that's number one.
I'm like intuitively, it feels like I'd be standing back. I'd be against the back wall if I'm isolating my angles.
Yeah, if you're playing the op, you're gonna be back here.
I would be as far back as possible.
Yeah, if you have the op, it's more common to be back here for sure. But if you have a rifle, you might swing up with the util from closer. Then you want to close distance to kill this guy here that will be hiding behind the box. Another variation to this, similar to the arcade take, I'll switch to Brim for this. I'll actually show the smokes. There's Brim. A, B, B. Okay.
30 seconds left.
Stay in range of my stiff.
Okay, so I talked about the aggro arcade smoke that will assist you in this push, right? That's really good. Problem is they can actually get close to the smoke, so you have to actually get the contest, which is why you play the chamber to walk up, okay? So there's a couple of B-main smokes you could do. The one we spoke about in Valorant is the deep one here. Now that smoke is really good, especially if you have util. But let's say you don't have util. A really good smoke actually is here. So now you actually can contest B main. Maybe you do a little bit left, more to the right to close that box or something. But you can do this smoke right away, even without util, and it denies the attackers the main space, right? If you see the smoke on attack and there's no util, you're probably thinking, oh shit, I can't really push through this, right? They can kind of get timing and hold it. It's pretty scary. So as a chamber, you could play around with the smoke and you could take underpass with it.
Walk up.
Yeah.
Yeah, underpass. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I used to do this as Brim. I would literally, like, if they had Killjoy ult and I didn't have ult, I would just smoke B main. I would walk up like this. I would hold the smoke for a little bit. And then as I'm turning this corner here, like I'm just holding, okay, cool, nothing there. Then I'll just walk around here. I'll just kill this idiot. Because they never expect me there, you know? Like, they just, they don't get that cross-map calm sometimes. But as a chamber, you could probably get away with some crazy stuff doing that because your TP comes back up. Like, you can come back here. So that's a cool smoke to consider playing with. So I guess those are the two things. You can aggress arcade with the deep TP. You can play behind the box. Obviously, you can play in tower. I don't know if tower is really good to play on the B hold because it makes you really hard to kill. But it almost seems like that would be more of like a fallback spot for chamber. But let's just say you started tower. What would that look like? You don't have a TP to get offsite if you play tower, do you?
I would presume your arcade rope drop play could be combined
with the tower
with the tower, yeah.
That's true, but like if I'm trying to switch it up to where like they expect me on the bottom, I can peek tower. I would like a TP to fall back, which I feel like this is too committal. You might just double up a TP here. The reason why tower is good is because this first guy almost always peeks you dry. The problem is it has like vertical difficulties, so what you'll essentially see like rifle players is instead of playing on the wall here, they actually just go wide here. They just take that first fight and they try to win it. It's kind of a weird fight, to be honest, but you can get away with it. But playing top tower is kind of nice, even though the vertical thing is there, because the attackers have to clear the bottom of the box and the top. So it's good for variety. The other reason why tower is good is because you can dodge all the B main util as they come out and then peek late and kill the guys as they run up here. And that's pretty nice. So tower is a really popular spot for people to play on the B hold. FNS plays there quite a bit and dies a lot, but you kind of have to play tower. Maybe against Taeho, it's less good. Taeho's kind of insane on this map. But yeah, so that's B. Contest arcade, play passive arcade, contest aggro B main, and then play passive top gen. This angle does exist when you're on top of the box. I guess you could even aggro peek B main like some crazy person. Get the kill and then TP back up here and get your second kill. I guess you could do some cool stuff like that. But just know that this angle from sight is actually pretty popular. I don't like it behind the box. I like it on this crack instead. I like this angle for B main. And then you can kind of take this fight and then that'll let you reposition in the tower if you want to. So
I like that. Yeah.
That's how I would. Those are probably all the ways I would play B. Running over to attack. Sorry, A sites. Typically your trip's going to be somewhere here. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things with this trip. If you put it into this corner here, they can walk all the way up and crouch and get really close before they break it and then contact explode and then catch you off guard. So if you were playing A main here, holding a deep line and you thought your trip was protecting you, you can pretty much just crab walk all the way up and then kill you. So for that reason, I typically advise your trip just to be in the open so you don't have to deal with that. And then I don't know the AETPs, but let's just pretend it's top site. Let's say you can test A main. Normally you dodge the stun here. I think there's a world where breach stun activates and you can go wide on the wall and get your first kill. I haven't successfully done that before. So it looks like this TP doesn't even get here for you, which kind of sucks. Let's just put it here. Normally you dodge breach stun while your breach is stunning and then you re-get the line here. But if you don't have a breach stun and they stun you, you're going to dodge it and then you can play off angle here for this first fight. And then you want them to kind of run into you. If you start hearing util, peek into them, get that first fight, and then TP, and then try to fall back, probably. That's normally how this A fight works out. After you get your first A fight and fall back, you have the option, at this point, you need to make the decision on if you're going left or going right. Most of the time, I like to go towards sands, because I feel like it gives me a different avenue and unexpectedness when I'm holding down the site, and also can kind of pair up with my teammate here. But occasionally, if you feel like you'd rather go site, because you want to go back in for this repeak into A main, that's probably not a bad play. And then also the top site holds with off angles is pretty strong. It just depends on what agents you're playing against. A site, you don't really have many spots to play against, even against a Teo, because one nade with a Teo goes top bottom, which sucks, and then you really have nothing. So most of the time, I just hate falling back into A site. Even before that, Astra had the suck that would go top bottom. Even without that, Raise nade goes up top. They only clear the bottom. Like, it kind of sucks to play on A site. So most of the time when I fall back off of A main, I tend to go on this side a little bit. But that's typically your contest A main. You get the line, hopefully with a breach stone. If you can't get the line, you play the off angle. You can even play behind the box for this angle. It's not too bad. You can play tucked fully, then peek late. That's pretty popular as well. You probably move your TP though. But there's a lot of ways to play A main. And then for sand specifically, I don't play this as a chamber or a jet. I feel like I don't have the util to contest this small space. I like to take the longer line. But I do play this as a raise. So breach stun goes up, I immediately run down, pretend like I'm a raise, and then I would boombot off of this and then have nade for this wall. But if you're going to play chamber here, you're probably gonna have a TP for that. Let's just pretend like your TP's in tower because I don't know any. You probably jump down, take this line, and you're looking for the aggro line here. You're looking specifically for this fight. You're not looking for these fights. Because when I play raise, I'm looking for these fights. But with chamber, you're probably looking for these fights. And then you might swing off of util for here. But you don't have your own util to go for this deep angle. So that's kind of
makes sense.
The other thing I wanted to mention, which I don't have a good TP for, but just pretend like I do, the old chamber. A really good line to get to is you would start A main, you would get the stun, the smoke is there, and then they aren't here, they're waiting out the util. You would walk up and you would get into this line instead, and this is your off angle.
Yep, I was eyeing that one off. I saw the potential for that one when I saw the TP that LFO was using, and I was like, dude, I just want to get in that spot. Like,
yeah, spot is
I
nice.
don't know, I can see myself going nuts there.
The nice spot. You rarely will fully push through A main as a chamber, but in ranks, definitely consider it. All you have to do is clear this corner, and then at that point you jiggle this, and then you're pretty much good to go. You rarely will catch lurkers here, and then most of the time there's no one in this corner. You just have to be worried about people playing in this area after they take the site. Sometimes there will be a player here, or they'll be running back after the plant. So that's kind of what you're worried about. But if you can get the flank up, like flanking on Fracture, by the way, I forgot to mention this. One of the most important things you can do on defense is flank. Because there's 4 lanes, attackers can only cover 2 of them. Maybe 3 if you have Sensi util, but it's really hard to cover, you know? So flanking on Fracture is very good. It is very risky, but it is very good at the same time. So try to flank. Yeah, so that's defense. You could contest drop as well and kind of play a retake A setup where you're not playing main. The reason why you might do this is if they have like really good ults to take main, or you are playing 3B side and you don't have a breach to support you A, so you just play for drop instead. Fairly common. Pretend like your trip is here, or your thing, and then you put this here probably. Play for drop, and then this off angle here is very strong. If you have an op, some people tend to play this angle instead, but this angle here is pretty strong with the rifle. Personally, I would probably just start the line aggro, take this line, and then if there's nothing there, you want to read minimap. So if they are making noise A main, you probably want to stay here. I don't think this isn't really the same situation on Ascent Cat where it makes sense. I think where you would normally go and clear Cat before you turn around. I think it just takes so much time because let's say you run up all the way here. You have to clear this corner unless you swung right away, and you have to go all the way out here. And then in order to clear the lurk, you have to go here and then clear this, and then it could still be behind that box, and then you might consider clearing it. And then by the time you go back, the site's gone. So it's not as straightforward as walking off Cat and peeking top mid, like on Ascent. So in this case, if they're hitting A site and you're here and you're holding line, you see nothing. I would say maybe you like hover for a little bit, but you come back and get ready for a kill, get a kill or something, and then you go back and re-clear the flank. And then this is where like you'd go back and re-clear this, and then now your flank is good. And then you'd go back for the site.
Okay, makes sense.
The fights here, very awkward, to be honest. Sometimes you get smoked off, in which case you could drop onto this little thing, kind of like if you're dropping out of heaven on Haven. Another way to play this is you drop here, so you're hidden from sands. You see that? Like this. You can even do the reverse and play here, but this, you can kind of see your shoulder here, but if there's a brim smoke, you'll probably get away with it. So that's not too bad. And then, where am I playing? The other thing you can do is if you want to play a drop setup, is play drop from on this box, and your trip is kind of covering your main and your sands or something like that. So your sand, like you have a...
I've got an approach that I think I would take in this situation. If you just check the Valor plant, the TP I use for drop fight.
Yeah. This one here.
If you see that one there, that sort of solves the problem. Even if I see no one and there's a huge flood, I could stay dish, wait for the rotators to come in, TP, and then fight out the CT smoke.
That's
with
true.
The
Yeah.
takers.
I think that
That's
would be
probably
really
how
good.
I'd go for it. It was kind of the read that I had Alpha Year seem to do, like while he was playing that game. That's sort of the read I had, and I was like, oh shit, I actually like that. And just looking at the difficulty of dropping out of that, like I just would die every time dropping out of that smoke.
Yeah.
So I would probably prefer post up as long as possible to kill the lurker, and then once the team is in our spawn ready to hit, then maybe I would group with them, or I would. Yeah, I don't really know, but I just know that if I drop out that smoke, I'm pretty much dead 100%. Like there's a lot going on vertical. It's not my strength per se to just throw myself in like a
maniac.
1v5
yeah.
maniac. Like I kind of I thrive in the piece by piece meticulous gunfight type of scenarios where it's like just out perfect my technique basically on everyone. That's like the situations I thrive in. So if there's no smoke, I could pull that off. The dish fight, I can pull that off. And then, yeah, I guess after smokes are down, that's where I just have to figure out how do I play into my strengths.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Chamber's primary
that
goal
fight
though is
wasn't-
disrupt the initial execute, and then on retake you're just the body, right? So you're trying to milk all your value before the retake happens. Just keep that in mind. You don't want to like abort with your TP too early. You don't want to play in a way that's so reflective to the TP. Like for example, if you're playing A main every single round, this is like a side tangent, but if you're playing A main every single round, they're util forcing you to TP, like that's not good. Like you don't want your TP to get burned too quickly. Like this is kind of like your entire agent. So you want to be playing it like if you know they're fighting heavy A main, instead of just absorbing the util, play differently. Like play behind the box, dodge that util, and then get that kill. Like it's really important to be creative in that sense, which is why I offered this TP here, because I think you can get a lot of value from killing that drop player. Because like let's say they are speeding drop with util, and like you feel like you can't play it close. This angle is very, very nice for a kill. I don't know if you can move your TP anywhere, but let's just pretend like you have a second TP somewhere. You'll probably figure something out. Let's say you get your first fight here. You can catch a lot of people off guard with this one because no one ever preaims this, right? And
I would never, dude. That's evil.
This one's pretty popular with Jet at least. They would get the kill and then dash over here. We have gone the macro. That's what we started with. I missed some comments. Twan, thanks for the 60 months. I'm still doing that one-on-one coaching. Yeah. You can reach out on Discord if you want. Wouldn't it be better to trip it and commit the site? Yeah, that's the first setup we talked about. You can test A main, fight for neutral space, and then go from there. Best smokes, I touched on a couple, but for defense, yeah. I showed a couple cool ones on B side. And I'll talk about the standard A main one. So I think we covered pretty much the basics on Fracture Chamber, I think, right? For defense?
Defense. Yeah, I guess what I want to do is just quickly refine or revise on, like we've got all the different puzzle pieces, and then what does it look like? So goals, and basically what I'm doing in a round is kind of what I want to take everything we've done and apply it to. So for example, if I'm starting A and I'm playing A main,
yeah,
we can just say that my first goal is to just get like a crazy pick out of nowhere. Like, go for that initial, hold the line, go for a pick, get a kill. And my first goal is to disrupt whatever flood is happening.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. The pick is a side effect of you contesting neutral space. So the goal normally is just to get info on this line. Like, are they actually fighting this line? If yes, then proceed to fight. If no, then maybe push and get into a certain spot. But like downstream from you contesting A is you getting a pick. And I guess like I want you to understand that the goal of you playing A main isn't actually to get a kill. The goal of you playing A main is to see if they're actually A main.
I like that. Okay, it's just to contest. So main goal to start is just contest neutral space, contest at main, contest at B main, contest at dish, contest at arcade, and then from there, variations. If they're pushing, we're looking to disrupt that push. If they're not pushing, we're looking to read the game as best as possible and either opt for a flank, or if we're playing something like arcade, just rotate through spawn. And in a retake situation, we're playing mainly as just a body. So we're playing for trades 100%, and we're playing for just our duels, basically. Like, nothing too crazy.
Yeah. I mean, to expand off of that a little bit more, like normally the traditional identity of a Sentinel player on defense is to be a really strong sight holder. Cipher does this by having kill trips, Killjoy does this by having delay, Deadlock does this by having a mix of delay and stopping power, Vice does this with pretty much all of those things. Sage obviously has her wall and her slows. So the way Chamber kind of holds down his sight is he forces the enemy team to respect all the off angles, and by using a lot of util. So another way you can kind of think about this is you want to make your presence so overwhelming on all of the neutral spaces that they're forced to util dump every single time they go and take neutral space, so that it telegraphs their push. And if they start,
I like that.
if they start defaulting, then you can kind of just, I guess now you can start playing that fast rotate and like not even contest that neutral space because they've used all that util. So like the progression of a game would be contest neutral space, they use util, they're pushing you back. Maybe you can still get a cheeky kill and they start tilting, whatever. But as the game goes on, maybe you don't even contest A main anymore. You might just play top site for a really easy kill because they've used all that util to take A main. So they're going to be super lazy when they peek this top site angle. And then boom, free kill. So
Yeah, I like that. How I would apply that concept, because I like it a lot, is by trying to read if it's an A or B hit, what we're expecting, and that side of things, if it's going to be fast, default, whatever. If I played A one round, A main, sorry, one round, at most I'd play A main one more round. If I expect another A, I'll make sure to play dish, because I kind of want to, yeah, once again, like in those first rounds, really condition the enemy to waste their util on neutral space. And then, yeah, say the first 4 rounds, I just go A main, B main, arcade, dish.
do all 4,
like,
yeah.
I literally do all 4. And then second half, I start to, they like condition shit. Here, this guy could be anywhere. And then from there, I pull back and adapt accordingly. Maybe if they're really starting to use their util heavy and it's not worth contesting it anymore, then I opt for those plays where I back up.
Yeah, you play like top site, top gen, maybe like maybe side. Tower. Yeah, play more passive positions. Yeah, that's how you want to think about it. One thing I'll mention though is I don't think it's actually the best idea to start on all sides of the map. Now, in like a team standpoint, it might be so that they're afraid of everything. But I think in ranked, you can kind of get away with, oh, the chamber is always going to be on A. So that first round you play B, you actually either have an op and you immediately go for an early pick, or you play on B site and you're kind of like hiding in a corner and like they don't think you're actually on B. You might not even put your tripwire down, and then they don't like clear the site as well, and then boom, you get a kill, you TP out, or you get 2 kills and you TP out because they don't expect you to play B. So like in other words, you can kind of cash in on the idea that they think you've been playing heavy A, and then that one round like they've been going B a lot, and you're kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go B, but I don't want it to make it seem obvious on B. So maybe I'll do this TP.
Okay, I like that.
That also might be one of the rounds where you sit behind the box, and then boom, you cash in, and then you ace, and they're like, holy shit, now this chamber is everywhere. So
this is the the like bigger picture game plans that I need to get down, because this is very, very powerful. Is how we're going to condition and how we're going to like pull the strings of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I'm not yet applying in my games, definitely.
The pre-round positioning thing is probably the #1 skill for a jet or a chamber, because getting that early pick is so crucial. A lot of jet and chamber players literally get that from just intuition, and they kind of just feel like off of random pattern recognition that the enemy team is going to do X, Y, and Z. And then like for example, if I'm watching a game, I'm like, oh yeah, it feels like you should play B this round because blah blah blah. And like if I sit there, I can kind of articulate all these points. They try to hit A, you guys shut them down, blah blah blah. Like, they're probably gonna go B this round, like whatever. But like normally it's just that feeling that you get to switch your spot, which is kind of hard to develop, but it does take a lot of reps. Yeah, was there anything else you wanted to discuss for defense?
Nah, I'm pretty clear with that. Yeah, I feel like I got a good idea of what I need to be doing.
Yeah. Easy peasy. Talk about attack. So attack's gonna be a little bit harder for chamber in terms of identity. So I don't even know the best trips. I feel like I remember a chamber trip being here.
That's a good spot.
I think that was the chamber trip. But was that when you would go A or was that when you would go B? I don't even remember. But I feel like I do remember this trip for some reason.
It has to be A. It has to be A.
It has to be A.
Has to be A.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably an A trip. So
Yeah, I do remember that one.
that was a nice one. I feel like when I remember playing A as chamber, like when I played chamber on this map, a lot of the times I was actually going A main, and then like my TPs would kind of be out here, and then I would like entry with my TP, and get a kill, and then I would TP back into main, and then I'd kind of be like holding sands in the post, like kind of A main. I feel like that's what I remember the most. That is what I remember the most. Dude, chamber was so good on this map. It's like all coming back to me now. But
that's why I was so G'd up. I was so G'd up when I thought of I was like, you know what? What am I doing?
This guy is
playing
so
Killjoy. I'm playing chamber.
Fuck Killjoy. And Killjoy's ass with Teo in the game. You killing? Are you
That's
kidding?
what I thought. Yeah, I was just like, I don't know. I was so stuck with that. But now chamber's just that's
Chamber
it.
is the one. Trying to think though. Like I guess if you're hitting hard A, you wouldn't even be here, unless you're like one of those random 5A rounds. You'd probably be dish, which means that your teammate would have to worry about the flank. But let's say you're dish. Because splitting sides is like so key on this map. I don't even know where your trip would be. Let's just pretend like it's here. You walk up drop. You probably want to be pretty patient here, by the way. Sometimes this lurk will actually consist of something like this. This is what I used to do when I was here. I would have like pretend like this is more the open. I would get info in this lane, and then I'd hide here for the drop push. And I'm AFK, so I could dodge the fade haunt, and then I'm just vibing here. And then I would walk up late.
Yeah.
So this is kind of how I would do it.
Would you do this off a read? Would you do this off a read that there could be util there? You wouldn't do it round one? Or?
Yeah, so here's the thing. At the higher level, like when you play in team play, arcade and crunches happen a lot with dish. So let's say you start the round up here, and then they start pushing out arcade and dish, and you're alone because your teammate started 4 on this side, and you have to lurk on the other side. What are you gonna do? You're dead. You're fucked. You gotta kill one, and you hope you trade 1 for 1, right? But in order to counter that, if you're solo on this side of the map, which is pretty common in some defaults, you have util to get info here, and then you hold this line. And if you know that they're crunching, you get that first fight, or you just peace out. You're like, fuck it, leave. And then normally by the time they throw util and you hit the rope, you're gone. And then now you know, guys, they're crunching, speed up. And then you just take A site, you're with the team, and then you just reset the round. But again, this is like more for like team play type of thing. But if you know that they're doing those crunches and you're forced to default on this side of the map, because it's good to default on that side of the map, fucking play next to the rope, use your trip here to get info. You could even vice versa. You could play on this side and then use trip here. But, well, I guess you can't grab the rope actually. So yeah, trip here, play on this side, look at this side, and then peace out. Like this is really important for like a passive hold here to absorb pressure. But if you're going for like a quick lurk, you wouldn't do that, right? But I figured I'd mention that because you are kind of like naked on this side of the map if you're alone. But anyways, teammates make A pressure. You might kind of just chill for a little bit. You might even consider starting arcade. Like early, if they're sometimes you'll play against people that use fade haunt, off rip arcade or KO knife, and your teammates are going A. Start arcade side, break that util. Quick note: when we were watching the Knights Clove VOD on Fracture, he would round start, shift walk on this back wall, and then win this fight. And I thought it was the most ridiculous thing that he would shift peek and angle, but turns out number one, you both kind of walk up on this angle right away. So like the clip we saw is like as he was peeking this corner, the other guy walked around the corner, he just instant headshot him and killed him. So it seems like if you shift walk around this corner and like hold the back wall, you get angle advantage / timing. And then now that you're further away from the wall, you can kind of isolate this box fight and then this tower fight and then this bottom tower box fight. So in other words, contacting arcade you can do by shift peeking the first angle and then going on the back wall and then kind of isolating from there. I've never done it this way.
Which Night's VOD was it? Because I have to have a look at that.
I posted it on.
In order to pull that up properly, I'll have to.
Yeah, it's in the little VODs channel. Clove, Fracture, 7 days ago. I can pull it up actually. I just want to see the example. So let's see. It's gonna be on attack somewhere. He's on defense, so he started attack. He did. Fuck, that might have been it. I skipped it. Yeah, here he gets the kill. Yep, right there. You see that? You see how like the Phoenix is knife out trying to shift walk, and he caught the timing on this guy. So, and
But the Phoenix doesn't. If the Phoenix isn't going for timing there, that's death, surely.
if the chamber is posted. But you know what's crazy is like I watched him shift peek. Like he did this 3 times, and this is the first time he saw someone, he insta killed them. So I don't know if it's just like ungodly confidence in the guy. I don't know if he's cheating or what. But like he was going with like there's a reason I think why he's going for the insta shift peek, and maybe that's the way you'd play this. You'd shift peek up, you'd contact walk this, and then you'd be on this back wall. Again, I'm not inside his mind. I've never actually tested this angle before, but from what I see, because like I've always questioned why people why pros shift peek angles, and it seems like this it just might be like a it's an okay type of thing here. Because like normally I would walk up here and then pre-aim and then peek, and then I would walk up and then peek, you know. But anyways, what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, you can make pressure arcade and then go back to drop late, especially if they're using util here to get info. Also, if you're going to lurk on any of the lanes, the most popular lanes to lurk on, to get value on, is not drop, and it's not B main. Because if you try to lurk out A main or drop, you're gonna have to drop down to take the site. If you lurk out B main, there's normally a tripwire here. So the 2 hotspots for lurking on this map, which it is kind of hard to lurk on this map, but the 2 hotspots is going to be your A main and your arcade. So let's say your teammates are going A and you want to lurk arcade, you either sit back here, you get into this corner, then you kind of just vibe. And then you like hope for the rotates to go, and then you start contacting up. And then at some point, when you lurk up into the site, you might have full sight, like this guy rotated off, and then suddenly you're in their spawn and you're cutting rotates. So normally that's the rotate, because if you, like I said, if you try to lurk up B main, it's a little bit harder because they had get the sight line earlier, right, from rotating back, so that you can catch that timing. But the benefit of it is that you can get this canteen line. But to me, it seems a little bit more scary to lurk out B main than it is arcade. As for A main versus drop, I feel like that's kind of self-explanatory, but drop, if you lurk out drop and get the site, you have to physically make noise, whereas A main, you can at least fully walk out onto A if you're lurking. Yeah. So 4-1 splits, you're probably the drop player. If you 4-1 split B, you're probably the B main player. I don't know where your trip would be for this. Just pretend like it's somewhere here.
A gift.
And then your goal here isn't actually to get a kill. You'll probably start the round with your trip here. You'd go on this side, and then you probably play B main passive. And then when your teammates start executing, you hear that smoke on B main. You probably want to get inside the smoke, and then you're looking for a timing. So once you're around this area here, your teammates are executing from the other side. You're looking at minimap. You're trying to figure out whether you should in the smoke come out and peek the guy dice. The guy.
I have a TP for.
So I probably wouldn't use my TP because I don't want to give it away that I'm here. If I'm doing this like 4-1 full lurk, but
yeah,
you could put it out like right before you go out, I guess. But like if there's chaos, you could go. But it's kind of tough. But regardless, if you're doing a 4-1 here, the reason why you're on this side of the map and you're not with them is so that you have this trip here after the post. Otherwise, you would just go with them. But also, you need a player here to punish any angles that is in the open when your people are executing. So ideally, when you're in, like you're the B main player, and there's a player running out canteen, or there's a player like fighting dice, you'd be able to punish that. Like that's your main job here. Or like the guy running out of the gen spin. At least that's what you're kind of hoping for.
Yep.
Or you're just lurking main, I guess. But yeah. In terms of post plants, maybe that's where then you would put your TP down. Say you get the site, maybe then you would throw your TP back here, and then you can try to get into this canteen smoke. A lot of time you can kind of beat that rotate and kill this guy. Otherwise, you're gonna hover B main and kind of just be a nuisance. So get this line here, play off angle, or you can kind of wait until your arcade player gets contact on the guy running out, then you peek, get that kill. If you get smoked off in the post, you can just sit here and wait on peek on timing. But it's really difficult for defenders to retake if they have to worry about someone still being in B main. So it's good for you to be there. And it also looks like your TP will make it into slant, so I guess you could play slant for a kill and TP out. I don't know. But yeah, don't overthink the chamber too much, I think. Just make sure that on defense you're living up to that identity of chamber, like really making them scared to contest neutral space. And then on attack, you're kind of just like walking around the map looking for fights, and it's okay if you die. It's kind of like he's like a worse lurker than a lot of agents, so he just gun out a lot of the time and kind of just, yeah. Like he doesn't have any tools to lurk, basically, you know?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's once again where I thrive, is the dry fights and That's what I'm working on mastering. So that'll be where that comes in. In terms of okay, let me think. Pistol round attack side starts.
Yeah.
I'm getting straight into a lurk, or straight into a 4-1.
Yeah. 4-1 probably.
Have I got any goals besides? Is my goal impact through a kill? That's caused by a timing. Like what's the main piece of impact that I've got?
So we
Or
kind of
is it pressure? Am I going for this lurk kill before the team exits? Am I going for it afterwards to get kills to make the retake harder? Am I going for like what's my purpose behind the lurk per se?
yeah. So let's kind of go ideal situation. So let's say for whatever reason we're 4-1 arcade, you're solo arcade. Ideal situation is that you don't get contact until your teammates get contact, so they create pressure for you to now walk up. Because if you walk up without their pressure, then you might actually just run into an op, or you might run into two people. So that's ideal situation. They get contact first, they get the kill, then it flips aggro on them, and then you get your time to walk up, and then you shoot them in the back, and then now they're worried about everything. So that's ideal situation. What could happen instead is they fully push arcade off rip, and then you don't have that timing, and then aggro is on you, and then you die, but then now you got info that people push you, and then your teammates speed up B main. So in that situation, you have to find the balance of you want to get your quick timing, but you also understand they can push you, and then like the best lurkers can kind of figure out when they should kind of go for the fast timing or kind of just be patient. But to kind of answer the question directly is what's your value on attack? It's about maintaining map control and getting cross map info. Like the fact that you're on this side as the one gives you info on the rest of the map, and it also allows you to punish if they don't respect it. That's the only reason why you're here, right? It's not really an agent thing in that point. It's just that you being on this side of the map is invaluable because if you didn't have a player on this side of the map, you don't know if they're pushing arcade or drop. So you passively get value from like, oh, they're not pushing arcade or whatever. But if they do push arcade, guys, they speed up, and then, you know, it's like a very easy response. But going back to the idea, like, okay, so if we 5-man B main, they could very easily just ignore arcade the entire hit and they just stand here and get a kill. But if you go 4 B main and 1 arcade, this guy can't play here, or if he does, he gets punished, right? Or this guy top gen, for example, a lot of the times will just play up here and kind of stand here. But if you walk up arcade, you can kill that guy. So kind of having that like separate from your team allows you to punish any angles that they could play where if they were disrespecting, they wouldn't have that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Okay, now let's say that situation progresses. I get one pick. My position is known. The team's gotten bombed down. It's like a 4v4 retake scenario now.
Right.
What's the next set of goals that I sort of should be thinking about? Am I in a defense scenario? Sorry, in a retake hold, and we're fighting for the flood. Where would you like my mind to be at? What's my primary objectives in that situation?
Well, at this point, we kind of devolve into two categories of players that are in post plants, right? You have the players that need to stay alive because they are like win condition. So typically that's going to be like Brem ult, Brem Molly, Sova ult, Sova dart. Like the players that have rechargeable util will typically play post plant safer, right? That's just normally inherently true. Whereas like players that don't have that much to offer in the post plant will play positions that are more aggressive to disrupt the post plant with their gun, and to play kills, like to play contact for players. So sometimes you'll see agents without util will play a really forward position like this, so that the player that has util, like a breach stun, can use it off of this player. So this guy's literally acting as a tripwire, basically to get that trigger off. So if you find yourself in a post plant where you can be that player for your teammate, you could probably do that. Now the downside of playing chamber in this way is that your trips might go down. So, well, in this case, that trip would actually stay up unless you go fully in the corner. But in this case, like you could have the argument that you actually don't want your chamber or your sentinel to play really aggressive spots like this, despite them not having great util in the post, at least in this case as chamber, because you want flank protection to be up. So you kind of want to find a little bit of a middle ground, I think, where you might not be the player that's fully in that cubby, but you might be here, where like, boom, they're coming out spawn, you're ready to fight, or if they do that arcade smoke, you get into it, and then you're ready to fight. Because normally when they retake, they do the arcade smoke. So
This is what it felt like I saw when I was watching the Alfier play. I literally only watched the pistol round of attacks. That's all I had time for, and I saw literally exactly what you're talking about here. So it's
Right.
good to understand that.
yeah, you want to be close, but maybe not too close if you want to be in range of your trip. But you're basically being a gun player. And in case of chamber, you have a couple, like let's say you somehow manage to get your TP up here or something. You can now play kind of both. You can play like first, well, I guess in this case, second point of contact. Like for the initial flood here, on the initial retake, get that kill, and then now you can also play the bomb timer. So, yeah. But you could very easily just evolve your situation. Like, I don't want you to overcomplicate post plan and be like, I always need to be one of the guys close in the post. Like, that's not the case at all.
It's just intuitive and go with the flow a bit, but also just have that as guidance. And it's mainly the goal. The goal isn't exactly to necessarily take unnecessary duels and fights and first contact. I think there's two main goals I can see. Number one is, let's say util is down and I'm just set up and we're in a position where, I don't know, the team is basically just doing a set retake. If we have win conditions and they want to play further back off site, then that's probably a situation where I would start to consider playing further up, playing first contact for those players. But if we don't have that, then it's not a necessity. If we don't have those WinCon util pieces, they're just playing, I guess, deeper in arcade. Kind of makes more sense than just going for trades, just playing normally, still playing just gunfights, because at the end of the day, that's chamber, but I don't necessarily have to be first contact. I could be trading out other teammates and holding angles like this.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you just want to be annoying, right? So, like, if you feel like you can't get a kill, then just like put pressure on them. Because even if you show your pressure here, like they're gonna be worried about you. They're gonna use util. So, yeah, a lot of people get into the mindset that like, oh, I'm Jet, I need to play post plant to get kills, and then they start pushing up and then dying. Like sometimes just being a stable body, like on the site, just like playing a crossfire or like whatever, like you can be that player. So.
I like the idea, like a stable body. Yeah, that's something that I could definitely implement.
But pretty straightforward, I would say. I think Fracture is going to be a matter of feeling out the map. Like you have to be able to read that your teammates pressure one side and you want to exploit the gap, right? So as like a sentinel. So if your teammates are pressuring A, you might consider going up drop, or you might just consider lurking B, depending on how quick you want the rounds out to play. And vice versa, if your teammates are pressuring B, you could walk up B main, or you could just walk late A main, Like it's that mixture of figuring out if you want to be one of the site splits, or if you want to be taking advantage that they are fast rotating. Because like a lot of the times, if you show pressure B, then all the A players are just going to peace out and run this way, and then boom, you have a free A site. But you can't really convince your ranked players sometimes to do that. So one quick mention
that makes sense.
Is the A main contest on this map. And the reason why I want to mention it is I feel like Chamber is one of the best agents to contest A main early, because if you do it as Jet, you lose your dash. You do it as Raze, you lose your satchel. But if you start the round as Chamber, you get your Chamber, you get your breach stun here, and you bait out their breach stun, and you take this fight and all this stuff, and you bait out that util, you can now just TP out, and you've basically just baited like all of that aggro on A, and at the cost of a TP, it's pretty low risk. So
Yep. In what situations would you use this?
I mean, probably like early in the game. Like if we're just running it down A, I'm gonna have my TP here. I'm gonna fight A, and then like, let me back up. They breach stun, they smoke. We can't get through it because we don't want to do the thing where we just util like into util. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let them stun, let them smoke, and then we'll hold my breach stun. And then after I get into the smoke, we're gonna breach stun, and then I'm gonna send it. And then I'm going to fight with this breach stun. It'll probably be a flash, actually. It'll probably be a flash here. But whatever. The point is, like, they establish a main control, and now I'm going to retake it before the smoke fades, and I'm going to catch them off guard. I'm going to do that with the flash. I'm going to go through. I'm going to get my fight, and then this breach now that's sitting here waiting with the flash is now going to counter my push with his flash, and then I get that fight and the TP out. So it's basically like...
Okay, I get you.
Kind of baiting that, like, segment.
Yeah, I like that.
Because if you don't do it, let's say you fully wait. They breach stun, they smoke, and you're just waiting. Well, they're going to get info on this side of the map, they're going to get info on this side of the map, and then you're kind of just waiting. So normally in that case, you actually wouldn't start on this side. But if you did, and then you would come back late, and then you would retake it, then at this point, you've showed pressure everywhere else. Like, sure, you might be able to re-clear A late, and there's not a player there, but you've let them work the other map as well. Like, there's chances of you dying here. So it's like a late A main contest, and I think the chamber TP can be utilized for like a free exchange of util here. Because like, if you're using a breach stun and a TP in exchange for like a breach flash here, and maybe their jet dashes away, or even if you push back their chamber up from you making this play, really pretty good.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm in terms of direction and an understanding of what I'm meant to be doing in a round, 100 million times better than previous. So I'm definitely happy with that. It's just about seeing how I can pull it off and just refining it.
Cool. I will say last thing I'll leave you with is chamber is best utilized if you think about your agent as punishing laziness. So in the context of defense, if they're being lazy on contesting neutral space, you kill them. If they're being lazy on their rotates on attack, you take that lurk timing. If you're entering out on site and they're being lazy about util, you quickly get that kill and you can just jet dash away, right? Like it's you're there to kind of punish bad players, or like, again, that's that laziness, I guess. It's like if they disrespect you, I guess it's like a disrespect. Like this agent really punishes disrespect, which is why he's so good at ranked. Because a lot of times people will take A main with not sufficient util, so boom, eliminated, and then you get out. So back when the chamber meta was a thing,
you can force it as well.
Yeah, you can. You can force brute
like
force.
As in like you could be versing very non-lazy players, but if you condition them to believe one thing and then change it up, you sort of invoke the laziness on them, because you know it's a smart decision not to clear this right now. We could, you know, whatever it is, maybe it's we got to waste util main because he could be there, but now on site they don't have it.
Right, right. Now you're back here.
It's the same equivalent.
Right.
Which is a concept. Yeah, I understand that.
There's a lot you can do with this guy. He's definitely he breaks like the normal game, I guess. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Don't feel too tied to the whole operator thing. I mean, if you're playing defense, it's good to op, but I think you can get a lot of value playing chamber rifle as well in this meta. We're in a meta right now where initiators are used to punish site hits, right? Like Breach and Teho, but Teho gets hard countered by chamber because he doesn't have a flash. And he doesn't have a dart. So you can kind of just like, if there's like, you know, those stupid little beam rocket things, it's like you can kind of just take a step back and then go forward again and then get that kill.
Yeah.
Whereas like a dart, it might force you back. Now the thing you might be scared about is the drone, because it'll suppress you. Now you're kind of RIP, but kind of go circle back a little bit more on the previous meta. Chamber meta was so oppressive that people were forced to play double initiator, and then they were also forced to play double initiator that had a lot of util to push the chamber back continuously. Fade Prowler being really good at one of them. The meta eventually adapted to where Fade was not as good because she got nerfed, and then it switched into Sky and Double Controller, so Double Controller would get rid of sight lines that chambers could abuse, right? But we're in a meta right now where it's like you don't have that many flashes, you don't have that many prowlers, it's just damage util, like specific location spots. So Teho, Airstrike, or whatever, and all that stuff. Chamber fits perfectly into the meta right now, I think, if Teho is going to be 100%. Meta pick.
So I guess to expand on that, are there any other, because my Cipher's good, I can play Cipher confidently on maps like Haven, stuff like that. Are there any maps besides Fracture where a chamber pick is a clear winner over a Cipher pick besides Fracture? So
I wouldn't say clear, but some of the picks that are very popular for a chamber, especially in Asia, if I remember correctly, is Lotus and Pearl. For a couple of reasons, but the A fight on Lotus, you can get some cheeky angles if you play chamber, because you can get onto this angle that no other agent can really play safely, unless you're Jet, but you can kind of play here permanently. If you're playing C, obviously the C mountain contest is pretty popular. And then obviously the front B angle is really nice if you play the off angle here. So chamber defense is really nice and ranked for Lotus. Pearl is kind of a no-brainer why it's played, but the op is obviously good on this map. It allows you to play pillar. You can play far. You can play quite a bit of spots on Pearl. The art TP is also really good. So if your TP is art here, you can peek art off rip, get that kill, TP back, play rotate. If you're playing on A site, you can contest A main. If your TP, I don't even know, let's just pretend like your TP is here. Go for that early A main, fight TP away. Maybe you can have this. I don't know if this gets you into the line. But those are the 3 maps I would consider chamber on. Is Pearl.
And everything we've learned today about Fracture, goals, ideas, the way
Pretty
the
much
agent
the same.
is played,
Yeah.
I can take all those concepts and apply it. Like I'm just disrupting, I'm being annoying, being chaotic, being
Punishing laziness.
just like everything. Yeah, everything we learned about Fracture, I can apply that to Lotus and Pearl.
Pretty much, yeah. The one caveat might be that the 4-1 isn't as important on some of these other maps. Like on Lotus, you might not really be the lurker. You might send your Clove to do that. You can be with the team or something. And then on Pearl, I mean, lurking mid is pretty big, so you might still be the mid lurker. But yeah, loosely put, like I would say like 90% of the stuff still applies.
All right, nice. I like that a lot. Because yeah, concepts that I can just apply, and if I can take a concept and apply it to any map that it's relevant on, then I do truly understand it. Rather than just being, oh, I'm on Fracture in this situation, I should do this. Like I want these decisions and decision making concepts to be like intuitive. I want them to just be like, oh yeah, no brainer, this is what I have to do. And if I can do that across multiple maps, that'll like really show that I've got the concepts down. And that's probably my main goal with that.
No, for sure. I mean, it helps to think about the game in high frameworks like that. I forget where I heard this from, but it's like knowledge without framework is just memorization. So for example, let's say I'm trying to study for med school and I'm just learning a bunch of facts, but like you don't understand how they all tie together. You can't really apply it. But if you have a framework that like, the immune system works into this, I don't know anything about biology.
But that's what I'm trying to understand. Yeah, a framework for how chamber is played and then how that ties into each map. And then I really understand chamber.
The more you know about the big picture, the easier it is to learn new agents and instantly apply it. It's also why a lot of players that understand the game at a high level can transition roles pretty quickly. So for example, like if you think of John QT, how is he able to transition from Sentinel to Initiator so quickly? Well, it's because we understand the game at a high level and you're kind of just executing that role, right? Or if you go back to Zekin's career, he used to play Sova for, like, he was Initiator secondary to Cryocells. Like they used to be on the same team in Cryocells with a Jet. Then now he's transitioned to play Duelist. And it's not like he didn't play Duelist before. He did play Raze, but Jet is kind of different. But you kind of understand what a Jet is supposed to do and then you're kind of executing on that from the big picture.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right? Now, it is hard to roll. Not everyone can roll swap. It is a very difficult thing. But Alpha Hair was the Duelist player turned Sentinel. Mako, I believe, was a Duelist player turned controller. That I could be butchering that. Durka was a Sentinel player turned Duelist. There's probably a list goes on and on. Forsaken obviously plays every fucking role in the game. That guy's the GOAT.
Yep. He's the GOAT.
Jing obviously just recently flexed the Senti, but yeah, I mean, when you know the game, like I said, at a high level, you can kind of learn all the roles. It won't come natural though. You have like certain instincts. Like Tex, for example, was the Duelist player on the guard. He switched over to play Sentinel on Lev, and he somehow had the most engagements on that team. Like he had more first engagements compared to Aspas, even though Aspas was playing Duelist. But that was also because Tex was a Duelist player in the past. It's like, and that doesn't mean that Tex isn't playing a good Senti. He's just playing a Senti with kind of a different identity.
Yeah. Which I like that. I like where chamber fits into. It's like I've got the identity right, and it's kind of what I want to be as a Senti player. A little bit more aggressive, not as anchor, but more timing, contact neutral space, like that kind of player. Now what I'm seeing, and yeah, that framework is when I play Cipher, I can do that. So when I play chamber, it's just an enhancement of that. and I can play into that with the weakness of less information and less anchor potential. So that's kind of where the framework comes in. Is I understand my position as chamber because it's just an enhancement of what I would do as Cipher. If I was contesting space a little bit more, playing a bit more aggressive.
Exactly. So like one of the main weaknesses of Cipher on Ascent compared to Killjoy is the inability to contest neutral space. So like for example, Killjoy would be able to actually be one of the players to contest neutral space because you have the aggro turret here, right? But Cipher couldn't do that. He would still be able to get info with the camera, but one of the main downsides of Cipher on this map was that B main was kind of free for the taking for the attackers. So Cipher got his power from his global util. Like he could play rotate, he could play fast rotate, and he could just play more for info. He was almost like an initiator in that sense. Like you put your tripwires down and you play global rotate. Like that's what Cipher has over Chamber. And also his sight holds theoretically are stronger because he has the cages and the tripwire for kill trips, right? So in other words, Cipher can't play for neutral space contest, but he can play fast rotate and he can play for his strong sight holds. Chamber, the fast rotate feels a little bit weaker, but he can play for neutral space contest and he can play a decently strong sight hold. And he can play a sight hold that's a lot more riskier because he could, like, let's, for example, say his TP's in market. He could play straight up next to the smoke, get a kill TP out, whereas Killjoy or Cipher couldn't really do that. So
yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that.
He's great. He's great. He's definitely the mix of Jet in between. Like if you think of a Jet and a Cipher, like he's in the middle. But yeah, you do have to understand a little bit of tweaks in identity. Like going back to that, Cipher can't contest neutral space, so you have to leverage the fast rotate and the sight hold. Killjoy can't play fast rotate because she's limited in global range, so she has to play like neutral space contest and sight hold, right? Like that's kind of her thing. And Sage and Deadlock, you can just throw out walls and then rotate quick, and then you have info if they break it because it shows up on the minimap. So that's where those sentinels get value. So on and so forth. You can kind of like Vice is kind of broken in that sense because you can get the wall protection and the info, and you can play a really good sight hold, and you can play a fast rotate, and you can contest neutral space with your flash. Right. So Vice is kind of like arguably the strongest or like the most balanced between all three senties. I'm going on a tangent here.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It's kind of it's just every senti having a different attribute point in different areas that all kind of contribute to the same goal but in a very different way. And I'm kind of getting to the point with my Valorant where I want to be able to play Cipher on one map, Chamber another map, Vice on another map, and have those be like the best picks for that map for a certain reason, but also to understand deeply the attribute points that each agent has.
Right.
And
like you wouldn't play a
how I
Vice
need
like
to-
a Chamber, for example.
and I need to know why. Why am
Right.
I doing that? For example, like Cipher does not have the ability to disrupt neutral space as hard as or at all. Really, it's like the comparison in attribute points there is like 0 to 100. So I need to
Right.
understand that and play around that and have that be something in the back of my mind while I play matches with these slightly different agents. And then master the role, but don't one trick the agent, and then be able to have a framework of knowledge that I sort of lean into, and create a really good senti player based on that. That's kind of where I think my gameplay is at.
Is this the guy? Vaping used to make really good videos. I don't know if he specifically talked on Senti, but he talked about the macro game at an easy way to understand, which I don't know if there's any good videos to recommend here. It's a shame he stopped posting. I think he's a pro coach again. Macro play, deep lines, 1v1 in defense. I mean, this is probably a good video to talk about or to look at. Because like going with if you're looking for frameworks, this would be a good place to start, I think. He covers a lot more like detailed topics compared to what I cover on the podcast. So
Yeah.
That was a tangent. Any questions, comments, concerns?
This vision for the week, I think I want to get down, which I think is just to
Yeah, we can write some of this down, I guess.
a vision for the week is to be able to play into the, I guess the attribute points of each agent that I play, because I won't play a chamber on every map. I'll play chamber like Fracture, Lotus, Pearl,
Okay,
and then
so,
what I want to see is those.
so in other words, playing into the strengths of the agent. So Cipher, fast rotating sight holds, chamber, testing neutral space and sight holds, Killjoy, which you're not playing, but would be sight holds and contesting neutral space. Clove would probably be fast floods and probably just fast floods. Clip sight holes aren't
Just
the best.
literally, yeah.
Yeah. I guess like smoke delay. I guess smoke denial, like info denial. I guess. Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, just being able to really intuitively play to these strengths and weaknesses depending on like I don't want to hop on chamber and be playing like a Cipher. I don't want to be playing chamber. I don't want to see myself fast rotating and playing hard anchor. I want to be, whatever it is. And then on Cipher, I don't want to see like
Fighting A main, B
as
main.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be like jump peeking A main. Like it's just very very much playing into what the agent's identity shapes him to be. So that's 100% a main point there. And then in the actual specifics of chamber fracture, which I definitely needed that a lot.
So we can kind of outline these. What was your main takeaways for defense?
Defense is disrupting. Well, I guess the goals. This is what I kind of got out of it. Is having my initial goal would be to get information on a line by just simply contesting neutral space with ideally some util, but if not, just contesting neutral space will stop.
Yeah.
If it's a site hit, we need to be disrupting that site hit. And if I get to a point where they're hitting me and they're using enough util, but I'm no longer site hitting, then I need to make sure that I'm adapting to that and that I'm not wasting my impact.
Okay, so I kind of hear that as adapting on the neutral space to avoid utility if they start dumping it. Something like that, I guess.
We need, in order to make that happen, better reads on the overall game and make sure I'm playing positions that are going to have the highest percentage chance of success and impact.
Yeah. Look at it from the enemy's POV. Like if you think about the last round, okay, so let me close my eyes. You just held, let's just say you were holding on A site, fracture, they took A main, or they were fighting you A main, you got a kill, you fell back, and then they tried to hit A after delayed and they got lost. Okay, so if you flip the narrative and you're on attack, then we try to take A main, chamber killed us, and then we got smoked off, and then they were all 5 there. So immediately you would think, okay, well, number 1, they're gonna go B, then number 2, they're gonna be scared of you contesting close. So if I'm gonna go B, I'm not gonna contest arcade or B main immediately. I'm gonna sit on site and play a rat spot so that they feel like I'm not there, and then I'm gonna pop out, kill 2, and TP out.
Yep, exactly. I like that. And then I guess a subcategory of that is conditioning and understanding what I've done the last 3 rounds, what I've conditioned the enemy to believe, and how I'm going to use that to twist the game in my favor.
Okay. Offense takeaways.
The main takeaway being we're basically going for, we're very contact space oriented. Like there's going to be a lot of contacting space.
Right.
We're looking for, I guess, impact. I'm either looking for a lurk other side of the map, and we're going for like a pivoty kind of, like the team's going A, but I've walked up B, the team comes
Okay,
up
so
B.
let's back up.
Or
Let's back up. So we're looking to gain. We're looking to get cross map info, right? The reason why you're away from the map is to translate cross map info so you can look for openings, right? So it's a game of info, right? So the fact that you're away from the team means you're gaining info. That's what you're looking to do. And then everything is downstream from the info you get. So if the info you get is that they're rotating, you're now going for a lurk. Whereas the info is that they're pushing you, your teammates are speeding up and you're falling back, right? So
yeah,
you
and
being
then
away
the
from the
alternative
team,
is the alternative is me being closer to the team in a 4-1.
right? So we're looking to get
And
cross map
those-
info if we're separated. Alternative, maybe I'll split these up. It would be to be with the team and I guess trade. But we're at the cost
but
of
it's sort of like, for the way I sort of understand it is, I'm still that soul. Like if we have 4 main,
Okay.
1 lurk, I'm the solo. On the solo split, just slowly, like after the team makes contact, I'm looking for timings and I'm looking to thrive in, I guess, the chaos of that. Like I'm just getting the right timings and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Guess I could put it like this then.
Post plant, we're looking for full stop, obviously. Impact downstream from that is what are the win conditions, and then downstream from that is what is my positioning going to be and playstyle going to be based on the team's, I guess.
Okay, we can simplify a little bit further. In post plant, you either are setting up a crossfire, you're setting up contact for your teammate. So in a way, like you're the trigger for the crossfire. So it's not really like a crossfire, but it's like I don't know what you would call that. Like you're the guy and then he peeks off you. So you're either in a crossfire already, or you're the guy peeking off of someone. Or sorry, yeah, you're the guy holding so someone can peek off of you, or you're the guy peeking off of someone. That's really all three, like it. Or you're clearing flank. That's all 4 scenarios in a post plant. Okay, so let me outline those.
Yeah.
There are 4 scenarios. You're in a crossfire. You're in a peak, or like you're a player. Wait, I don't even know how to word this. You are the contacts player for a teammate to play off of you. You are the player to peek off of a contact player. You are clearing flank. Okay. Most commonly, as a chamber, you're going to be these 2. Normally.
What does clearing flank look like? Because we didn't really go over that. What does clearing flank look like in the context of an arcade push? And I've got my trip down.
Yeah, so it depends on where your position is already. So let's say your trip's here and you're here, and then this trip gets activated, you probably just AFK behind the box.
And it's just to be aware of that.
Yeah, you're
So it's
looking
not. Okay, so that's what I wanted to make sure. It's not like, it's not walk all the way back. That's what I wanted to make sure. Or it's not like walk all the way through underpass or something. It's just be aware and take that fight if it ends up being a fight.
I mean, you definitely could. There's so many nuances to this, right? Let's say like this trip gets activated and you go and clear flank and you see no one there. You could take the rope and then fucking send it over to be main, because the rope is probably faster than going underpass. Because if you go underpass, you make noise. So you could take the rope, send it to be main, and then go here and then like clear flank that way, right? Like, I mean, there's so many complexities in this game. But yeah, I guess when I say clear flank, I mean you could be the player that is holding flank or like in space of your trip, right? Because like let's say you had your trip here and you're like here and you aren't fulfilling that 4th point of clearing flank. Or I guess maybe I could change clearing to like being aware of flank. You are flank protection.
I like that. That makes more sense. Yeah, flank protection.
/ aware.
I like that.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Questions, comments, concerns?
No, now I'm good. Now I'm good 100%.
Gotcha. It looks like this Horcus guy is a chamber 1 trick. I've seen this guy before. Radiant chamber 1 trick here.
He's
Maybe-
EU, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Maybe you can learn some cool tech from this guy. The last thing I remember
Yeah,
from this guy
100%.
is like he would play Sight Anchor on Ascent. It was kind of weird. He was playing on Ascent. He had his TP Hell. He would play Dice, get a kill, and then he would TP back to Hell, and he'd get another kill. He plays like 4-2 kills on his Sight hold, basically. Kind of what I remember from watching his
Gotcha.
VOD. But I haven't
And
really.
that's pretty
done too
impactful
much.
there, but yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to pull off, right? But if you have an op, you can get away with it sometimes.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
All right, I'm 100% good on that. Like I've got a lot to do, and it's a very clear direction. I like this.
Sounds good. Don't overcomplicate it. Just feel it out. Get some reps in. At the end of the day, like you have to get probably 25 to 30 reps before anything fully clicks, anyways. So
Yeah,
get some games out there.
25 to 30 reps. Let's do it.
Yep. You have anything to say to chat before you hop off?
No, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, guys.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
Cool beans.
We are likely gonna check back in next week, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me. And
Easy done.
you have a good week. And
Likewise. Peace. Take care.
peace. Good luck on the chamber.
Easy. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, chat. That went a little bit over. I need to hop off. Hopefully you guys learned something. I could probably yap for another 2 hours, so I'm gonna hop off of here. Banana, he was trying to learn Chamber on Fracture. In Premiere, he's playing Senti. So he's playing Chamber on Fracture and likely Cipher on other maps. And in Ranked, he's switching from Clove to Cipher and likely Chamber. So, yeah. Figuring stuff out. Role identity stuff. He started on Duelist. He went to Sentinel for a little bit. I didn't coach him during then. Then he switched over to Clove, and then we coached him on Clove. Got to Immortal 2, new act. He's playing Senti for Premiere. We're trying to figure this out. So, but yeah, the Fracture macro, there's going to be a podcast on that at some point. Just be on the lookout for it. I think it's like probably 2 weeks or something, maybe 3 weeks that episode will be out. Because I think we are on episode 42, and I think that's episode 45. But yeah, he'll likely play some Clove still in Ranked. I'm not sure. I mean, it's really up to him for what he enjoys. I mean, his Clove win rate is good, so I personally would like to see him play it more, just because I think he could probably play 200 more games of Clove and then probably get to Immortal 3. But you know, got to do what's best for him. And maybe the Cipher and Chamber would be better. Who knows? Like after, like he's like now that his fight IQ is stronger with playing Clove, maybe he'll be better on Senti. Comments on Fracture and lower ranks. Just make sure you split the site. Like don't 5-man anything on attack. For defense, try to abuse flanking and make sure you contest A main. I mean, Zasko was originally a Chamber player. Like when he first got to Immortal 3 ages ago. How do I find this? Performance. Yeah, so back here, he initially played Chamber. So it'll be pretty easy for him to pick up Chamber again. Yeah. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys later. Next week, next Tuesday. If you aren't in the Discord, I recommend you guys check it out. I have some couple things I'm gonna drop. I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. Got a little website here to have one spot here to kind of advertise my community. I'm gonna start a coaching community so that I can coach at a cheaper rate for you guys. And then yeah, I need to flesh out the details a little bit more, but I'm hoping to get this out to public launch this week before Thursday. So if you guys are interested, I'll be posting about it in the Discord. I know a lot of you guys can't afford my one-on-one coaching. So, and honestly, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you guys. This coaching community might actually just be more value than one-on-one coaching. So like you could probably spend, let's just say the $20-$30 that it comes out to be and get more value than the $1,000 from a pure value point. Like just not even the price to value point, but just from a pure value point, just with the frequency of stuff that happens in there. Because obviously if I'm scaling out to more people, I have to give more value, I guess. So we'll see how it goes. Just be on the lookout for that in the Discord. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. I'm gonna end the stream. Let me see if I have anyone to raid. Raid. Rush playing Marvel Rivals. Probably just Brush playing Marvel Rivals. All right, Brush playing Marvel Rivals. All right, peace out, guys. You guys take care. Have a good day. Have a good night, whatever the case may be. Sleep tight, sleep well, sleep early. Don't stay on your phones, scrolling, whatever. Go to bed 30 minutes early tonight. No, you don't have to, but you'll feel better. All right, peace out, guys. You guys take care. Peace.